For the vast majority of the squat everyday journey, I've been working my way up to a single squat, whether it be 140, 160, 180, 200, or whatever I'm doing at the time. I would always finish off the squat routine for the day with a single. Sometimes I would do back off sets, but for the most part, I would work up to a single and then move on to other things. In the last few days, I decided I want to not do that. I want to work with fives. I'm entering a period right now where I want to work the fives with the bench press, with the deadlift, and also with the squat now. The trouble with that, and the trouble with doing that every single day in the squat, the deadlift's okay, right? A couple of days ago, 4 days ago, I did deadlifts. 3 days ago, I did deadlifts. And, I'm hurting. The rectors are sore, lats, traps, everything's freaking sore. I'm washed out, CNS-wise. But that's okay. I'm not going to do that for the next 5-6 days. Whatever, 7 days, whatever it takes. So I can push. I can do 3 sets of 5. I can, do 3 sets of 3 before I do the 3 sets of 5, all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. Same with the bench press. I pushed it hard today. Did a bunch of 5s, a bunch of 3s, a bunch of singles. That's great. And now I'm kind of going on the recovery road for the next 3-4 days. I won't touch it. With squats, however, how do you do that? So instead of doing, 3 sets of 5, 5 sets of 5, I decided to just work up to a single set of 5 every single day. And I think today is like day 4 of doing that. And I've worked out that, or maybe day 5, something like that. I've worked out that, yeah, sure, you can do that. But one day you might have to do a 140 kilo set of 5. Next day, 160, maybe 170 in a couple of days' time. So there's like a undulating kind of periodization within that, in the sense that the weight goes from 140 I think on the worst days I do, and 170 on the more recovered days. Also you throw in the deadlifts in that, and obviously that impacts that as well. But you can get in trouble with it. You can get in trouble with it because with the singles, you put 160 on a bar, you do it, and you go, yeah, moved okay. You did 170, yep, okay, that was the sweet spot, bar slow down. With the 5s, you can always get the next rep. You can always get the next rep. And in the heat of the moment, when you're squatting, you can very easily kind of overreach for the day. Whereas with the singles, you have to rack the bar, stop, walk around, think about it, and you have more control over the singles. Because with the 5s, you're like, you get to the 3rd rep and you really want to finish the day with 5s, and you're like, okay, damn, that's enough. Like, I'm feeling this right now. So it's kind of harder to prognose. Today, the 160s felt like that. Yesterday I did 170, right? Today I worked up to 140 felt good, and I'm like, okay, let's go to 160. 160, the first rep felt good, second rep felt good, and the 3rd rep I was like, okay, I feel like I'm overreaching right now. I feel like this is going to get me in trouble. I started kind of feeling the muscle, telling me, dude, we're not ready for this. You did this to us yesterday. And so that's kind of the difficulty of working with something that is not a single in a very high frequency training program. But having said all of that, I think I've spent way too long messing around with singles. Singles are great for being very good at singles, but in terms of building, in terms of getting that pump, I started thinking to myself, the deadlifts, every time I do deadlifts, it's the sumos. Obviously, I'm very, very not good at sumos. I have the technique of a complete beginner. I'm leaning over too much. I don't have the positioning. I don't have the hip, mobility for it. So I'm kind of very much laboring through that sumo. It looks like a more conventional, wide stance, conventional type of lift. But, I get a really good training response from it. So I work up to 220 or whatever I do for the day on the sumos. Work up, and then I go back to like 180 or 170. I've been doing a few times now, and I do a set of 5. Another set of 5, another set of 5, 3 sets of 5, and then I always finish up with like 120, do a couple of sets of 10 with that, right? And I get a really good training response from that. I feel the glutes on fire, I feel my upper back, I feel the forearms, I feel like a great workout, And then I think to myself, is it though? Are sumos that good? and I feel like they're great, but I'm always kind of checking myself and thinking to myself, what if I just did that with the squats? Oh, goodness me. You're comparing apples and apples, or you're comparing apples and oranges. And obviously, straight away, my mind goes to, well, if you did that with the squats every day, you wouldn't survive. That's a lot of volume. 3 sets of 5 on the back offs, and then 3 sets of 10 on the back offs. That's a lot of freaking work. And it is, you're right. You can't do that every day. But you don't have to do it every day. Why don't you do that, what you do for the sumos, you do it once a week, twice a week? Is it really the sumos? Anyway, these are some of the questions that are kind of circulating in my mind, and still, after all those thoughts, I conclude, yes, the sumos are special. It's a wide stance, it's working the external rotation, it's working that abduction, which all the stuff which I'm crap at. It's fantastic. That's great. But that training stimulus that I feel from the sumos is great, not just because it's a wide stance and it's a particular exercise. It's because I'm working it with a particular method, more volume, lots of volume, sub-max work, 5s and 10s and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, that's kind of what I was kind of thinking today. And I'm like, this like 4 or 5 days ago, I was like, why don't I just squat every day? Instead of doing 3 sets of 5 sets of 5 on squats twice a week, why don't I just work up to a single set of 5 every day? And I'm finding out that, it's up and down. It's up and down. Like some days I'm really laboring and don't feel strong. And obviously you throw the deadlifts into that, which are, cohabiting the same freaking muscles as the squat. And then you kind of get into trouble kind of working all of this out. And also on top of all of that, I've worked out that every time I do the sumos, I call it the sumo day, but every time I do the deadlifts, my bench suffers. So I don't think I mentioned this, but a few days ago, I was doing a set of sumos. I think it was 180, and I felt my freaking chest, almost like a cramp in my chest, but it was so severe that it fully internally rotated my shoulder. Like it was just a huge contraction in my chest, in my right pec. And at the time, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like that's kind of how it feels to tear a pec. I imagine it's like full, like uncontrollable, like cramp. I put it down and my pec kind of felt a little bit off. And then I dropped the weight down and I started doing some 10s and I was feeling my way through it. But, work that out, right? The deadlifts really takes my pecs out. Whatever. And I don't know how to even begin to explain that, but that's what happens. I don't know why. So there's a whole bunch of conflicts going on here. High volume squats impact the deadlifts, high impact deadlifts impact the squats. And the bench press, high impact bench press is just chilling out, I guess. Or maybe the high volume bench press puts my pecs in a fatigue state, and then they start cramping during the sumos. It's tough. It's tough, and it's almost incompatible when you chuck it all into a freaking squat everyday routine and try to like do a whole bunch of things. So I think for now, what I might do is I'm going to stay away from volume on the deadlift. And just do that once a week and not even think about a second day in the week of doing that. No way. On the second day, I'll come in and I'll do conventional, work up to a nice little single, and then do the GHD. I think that's kind of where my mind is right now. In order for me to work up to 5s in squats, that's kind of what's on my mind. Maybe I'll test the vibe in that, and I'll see what happens. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.